Mysteries podcast. I'm your host, Kate Sylvanus, and today we're going to delve into mysteries and magic of consciousness and hidden forces that shape our reality. We're going to explore one of the most misunderstood aspects of the esoteric practices, and it's one of the most powerful forms of ritual meditation that I have ever come across, the Qlippoth. Now, my pronunciation in some of this is going to be shaky at best, so I'm going to say sorry for that now. I've read these concepts over and over again, and the way I say it in my mind is the way I'm going to speak it. It might not be the correct way of absolutely verbalizing this. But for those who've only heard whispers of it, the Qlippoth is often seen as the dark side of the Tree of Life, which is a shadow realm of energies, chaos, and raw potential. But is it something to be feared, or is it an essential part of deep spiritual transformation? It means the shell, so it's a shell of something. And the Kabbalah, they often say that is known as the Tree of Life. It's also Yggdrasil, and many cultures talk about the Tree of Life. There's only very few of them that talk about the tree of, I suppose in its opposite would be death or chaos. It is a mystery, and it is not something easily explained, but it is one of the most transformative processes that I've ever been through personally, and I want to talk to you about it. So if we're going to start talking about the Tree of Life, which is the fundamental map of spiritual evolution in the Kabbalah, it's the Sephiroth. Yeah, you see, this is one of the spellings. But Seph, here, Roth. Now, I'm not good at this sort of language in vocalizing some of this language, but it is the divine emanations that represent different aspects of creation. So it's basically frequencies, different frequencies that come off all levels of life. And you could describe them as emanations of magic, mystery, and the occult, or you could say they're frequency, just wave formations, or they're facets of the whole. I kind of like the image of a facet because you get sort of aspects of a jewel that is the whole of life. So you can look at it from this facet, or you can look at it from this facet. And the more perceptions that you can get of this, the deeper you go. And it's basically, it travels, the jewel itself is from everything from material existence to the ultimate summit of enlightenment. So you can go as far as you like with this, or you just paddle around in the shallow end. I've never really one for the shallow end. This is why, as I explain it to you, I'm also explaining it to my conscious mind over and over again. But, okay, so every light casts a shadow, and every seraphim has a Qlippoth counterpart. So we're in a duality universe, so where there is light, there is darkness. Where there is emanations of love, light, and enlightenment, and everything that is holy and good and clean and pure, you have its opposites. And if you invoke one, you always invoke the other. Now, this is fundamental. So if you are reaching for enlightenment, you have to go through the shadow first. Okay, so otherwise it's a shallow form and it doesn't reach enlightenment. Wisdom through adversity. The crux of everything is you have to go through your worst times before you can even understand your best times. So these are often described as shells, husks, or broken remnants of divine energy, forces that exist outside of divine order, representing raw, untamed aspects of the universe. And the universe in this state is you. So these are broken remnants of you, forces that exist outside of you, representing raw, broken, untamed energy. Some traditions view them as demonic. Okay, so I've used the word. realms of corruption. Well, if you've watched too many horror movies and stories, yeah, you will see the base, raw, primitive aspects of what the Abrahamics see as demonic. Right now, I don't necessarily believe in demons any more than I do angels. They are aspects of ourself. And without angels, you can't have demons. This is the whole thing of the Qlippoth. So they are aspects of the subconscious in my world. They're repressed fears, desires, chaotic energies that really, really must be understood and integrated. So if we are projecting love and light and our lives are chaotic, you can see so many people out there, gurus, life coaches, spiritual advisors. I've had them all my life. I've seen the new age spiritual people that couldn't quite understand why, if they're projecting peace, love, happiness, and all they're getting is its total opposite. And that's because you can't have one without the other. So if you're sending someone love and prayer, you're also sending them the opposite. And please don't send me love and light. Please don't send me your love and light. Keep your love and light. Send me balance, send me harmony. But love and light will bring more chaos into my life. And I've got enough of that, thanks. Okay, so some people believe these are demonic realms of corruption. Right. So this is intense stuff. So when I'm using language like this, I know what it triggers. And you're like, ah! But we're talking about the subconscious. We're not talking about sprayed red guys with horns and tails, okay? It is the subconscious realms that is frightened, is fearful, is chaotic. Sometimes there are desires in there that is mixed up with fear, mixed up with all kinds of things, that base aspects of us, beasts, monsters, and it's us. And if you don't recognize that the parts of you are these things, then you've got a long way to go. So when I looked at this, I saw the vampire, the seductive vampire. And it was the first step on looking at the dark side of me that was such a transformation. So working with the Qlippoth, you have to go down into the depths of the psyche. So these are the parts that most people run away. And I'm asking you not to. I'm asking you to face your shadow, because negative thought forms come out of all of us. And if we are suppressing something, we are just making it stronger. So why would someone work with the Qlippoth? Well, to me it's obvious, but okay. If the Qlippoth is associated with chaos, fear, and destructions, why would you want to? Because it's so unnecessary. True transformation requires facing what lies in the dark. You can't transform any other way. I promise you, you can't. If there was a way of not facing this, millions will have done it by now, because millions avoid the dark side of themselves. So spiritual traditions across cultures recognize the importance of shadow work. In Jungian psychology, I like Jung because he was a pioneer in lots of ways, and he was honest with himself. The shadow represents repressed aspects of self, which is a really nice way of putting things. A lot better than demonics. But repressed aspects of self is something, yeah, okay, I can look at that. In shamanic traditions, initiations often involve a descent into the underworld to confront personal and ancestral wounds. The Qlippoth faces a similar way. It strips away all the illusions. All the illusions of I'm good and I'm pure, I'm naive and I'm innocent were stripped away. I'm none of that. I know better. It forced me to confront my deepest fears, and it broke apart all the things that I thought I was. And you are confronted with reality, and it hurts. It hurts because I have the base desires, the base aspects, the raw. I can be the psychopath, I could be the rapist, I could be yes, all of those dark side, and the killer, the torturer. You have to accept the fact that if it's in someone else, you've projected it onto them, and it's part of you. These are all suppressed desires, suppressed fears, and it's scary. It's breaking apart beliefs, limiting beliefs, and self-imposed barriers. I think it's Jordan Peterson who says, a safe man is not a nice man. It's dealing with that aspect. You have to know that you can hurt before you can heal. It confronts and integrates repressed emotions. And one of the main things it did for me was access raw, creative, and magical power. I found the empowerment within me, and it wasn't there, and nobody can take that away from me. It's like you can take, I can be starving, I can be cold, I can be all of that, but you can't take away my internal power and the stability I found inside. This is not a path for the faint heart. I wrote that too. It requires resilience, self-awareness, and a willingness to navigate instability. You have to go into the chaos inside you and the mess of the traumas that they made of your childhood, the education system, your family, any traumatic wounds that go really, really deep. You have to look at it. There is no getting away from it. Okay, so we're going to look at the 10 spheres of the Qlippoth and their challenges. So it's kind of like a meditative journey, and you can find books on the subject, and it helps if you have someone to help you through it, even if it's just talk you through it. So you have to go through 10 spheres, and each of the 10 spheres have corridors and passageways that also require you to go through those. Some of the passageways for me were far more traumatic than the actual spheres themselves. But each, as the Tree of the Life has 10 seraphs, the Tree of the Death has 10 Qlippoths, each representing a specific shadow aspect. Okay, I'm going to take a look at some of them and the challenges they present. Now, bear in mind, this is just a short podcast. This took me months, and then I'm not even sure if I integrated it the first couple of months, so I had to go back and make sure I'd sorted it all out. But we're going to start with the base. So there are many feedbacks on this. So in other words, they're interpreted in lots of different ways. This is the way I interpreted it. Okay, so as I said, there are some I can't pronounce, but Lilith, we know Lilith. Lilith from the Bible, from a lot of the Jewish myths, Malkuth's shadow, the rebellion against structure. So the first sphere, we're not talking necessarily about the corridors. That's a different aspect. I'm not sure I'll have time for that. But it represents illusions, right? So Lilith will say to you, right, what is real? This is what's real. Another one of this was Kali Ma, and this is the goddess that destroys Maya. Material obsession, rejecting the opposed order. You can't look at the order that we live in and not see through the illusion after this. So it's confronting where you give away power or resist necessary discipline. So necessary discipline, again, I don't like the word discipline. However, how about conditional surrender? You don't like that one much either. But it is saying that, hey, without structure, without pushing yourself through this, you can't get any further. So you give away to get a lot. So it's kind of, yes, necessary surrender. And you're rejecting the imposed order that's around you. So you kind of go back. I went back a lot of it through my school. And the order that they gave me was so limiting. It's so limiting, and it's so nauseatingly cliched, the way they teach us to think at school. It was unpicking all of that. Okay, the second one is Gamaliel. Now, Gamaliel. Gamaliel. Yesod's shadow. Right, now this is corruption of dreams. This is the nightmares. So it's tied to eroticism. Now, this is a big step for many, but it is still illusion and the subconscious deception of ourselves. So it's a way of, this one is like where you have got to see your eroticism, where you get off, what turns you on, what's your kinks, what's your kicks, and are you disillusioning yourself? Have you just got into a mindset that is telling you that, oh, that feels good? And where was its limits? You see, the subconscious can suck you in like you wouldn't believe, and it isn't kinky. The subconscious can make you believe that this turns you on. And over repetitive neurons fire, and they connect, and suddenly you think, well, that's my kink. And it's not. It's become a addiction. And there is an awful lot of porn addiction in this world, and you watch them eat themselves up with it. And looking at Gamaliel's corruption of dreams, corruption of the subconscious, how you've become something you despise from it. And it's in all of us. The sexual energy, eroticism, it's in all of us. And it's a matter of looking at how it's corrupted, how it's become something dirty and unclean, and embracing that and going out through the other side. And that again is where we are resisting necessary discipline. Okay, so Samael, Hod's shadow, poison of the mind. This was a tough one for me. This was a very tough one. I had to go back and back and back, because every time I went through it, there was more. And it was more and more and more, and it built. And then it represents deceit, self-sabotage, and destructive intellect. Poisonous mindsets. Things that we think about ourselves aren't true. And breaking free from limited mental constructs and self-deception. So this was my mind screwing me over. And this is where I went inside my mind, and I decided, right, I needed a construct. So I put a construct together that had a limit on what thoughts. Any thought that I thunk, any thought that I thunk, I went through it, and I gave it a room in the hotel. So I had a big hotel in my mind, and any thoughts that were interesting, I let stay. And any thoughts that were not interesting, I moved them on their way. So this is where you start observing your thoughts. This was probably the first time I'd ever tried this, because I found that there was a whole bunch of voices in my head that weren't me. And that was not allowed once the hotel, and also I burn the hotel down every now and again, because I need something new and fresh. I can't have stale thoughts sort of taking up room in my hotel. So the whole place burns down, just so I'm breaking free of anything that is limiting me, so that I can grow and expand. But my mind is one of the most experts that I know of self-deception. It deceives itself. It thinks itself the boss. The thoughts that come and go, it's like, get lost. No, I'm not that. And becoming aware of the whole cycle probably started from Hod's shadow, the poison of the mind. So another one is the venom of desire. Aharab Zarak, Natchet's shadow. You see, I write all this down, and I've been reading it for a long time, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But we'll call it the venom of desire. So Natchet's shadow. And it deals again with unrestrained passion, conflict, and the misuse of power. Now, this is all very the words can be shallow when they mean something a lot deeper. But when things eat you up, this goes back to the corruption of dreams, but it's a step further. When you want something and you can't have it, and your mind goes over and over and over again. It's like, and also when you have a little bit of power and you become a gatekeeper with it, and you become an asshole. And looking at that asshole being in charge of power, You can see it everywhere. Anybody who's had a bit of power either becomes an asshole. Maybe some of them aren't, but most of them do. Politicians. Politicians have unrestrained passion. I'm watching some of the politicians get big and fat and bloated, and I can bet you that it's eating them up. It's like it feeds off them. Learning emotional mastery and the ethical use of influence. Just because you can do a thing doesn't mean to say you should. Thagurion. Maybe. Qlippoth's shadow, the false self. The false self is the hollow pursuit of greatness and the shadow side of the ego. Now, I was lucky. This one was fairly easy for me. I don't find greatness in where everyone else does. So if people want pursuit of power over other people, I've never wanted that. I don't like the responsibility of having power over people. It was hard enough being a mum and having power over 3 kids. That was not my idea of a good time. Okay, so the responsibilities of looking after them and all of that, no. So I've never had a lot of money, so I've never really misused that. I've wasted a bit of money here and there, but I think everybody has. False identities and embracing authentic selfhood. I get that I had false identities. I believed things of myself that were not true. I think that they were someone else's ideas of myself. So when you look at somebody and you get their point of view of who you are and what you are, and if you live with them and they're part of family or it's part of a relationship, then you can take that identity that they have put on you and make it your own. And it doesn't fit. You break out, you outgrow them, the relationship crumbles. The false self it shows you that the only way you can do is get information from the inside so that you can work through it and find your own concept of self. Golachab. Qlippoth's shadow. This is the destructive strength. Now, I lost my temper when I was at school once, and it was a blinding rage. I don't remember what happened. I'd been wound up. It was in maths class, and one of the girlies came across the desk at me. Now, I don't remember what happened, but I went for her throat, and I was trying to bite her throat out, and I pulled her ear. She had a whole bunch of earrings up one ear, and I was pulling them out. There was blood everywhere. She was pulling chunks of my hair out. I don't remember any of the wounds that I received. I don't remember any of that. And it was uncontrolled rage and total and utter. I don't know what I could have done. I have no recollection. Berserker rage. Whew, I'm glad I had it when I was that age, because boy, did I learn to channel that, and it's never ever happened since. But that uncontrolled war that I had within myself was pretty destructive. I know I have it. I just choose to channel it to make sure that the pressure doesn't build up for me to go there. And this destructive strength is in quite a few of us. And it's needing to channel that power responsibly and avoiding self-destruction. Again, the words here don't quite cover it all. So you have to go into this deeper. This is just a shallow dip into what the Qlippoth is. But if we're looking at Satriel, Bina's shadow, the black veil, this is a tough one. And I have to retreat back to it every now and again, because I'm not sure if I've fully understood it. If I fully understood it, I wouldn't still be here. But it symbolizes sort of isolation, nihilism, and the weight of existential truth. Yeah, I struggle with this one. You've got to find meaning in the void, which is fine, because I like the void. The void is good to stay in. and moving beyond fear of the unknown, which again is fine. Fear, bring it on. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. This is all aspects of me facing the unknown. Now, I face the unknown every time I open my eyes in the morning. It's not a problem, because you don't know what the day is going to bring. I could die tomorrow. Fine, bring it on. Come and... I often used to walk into graveyards and anything spiritual and think, right, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. And quite frankly, I was fine. So there is nothing really that I fear, but the weight of it all, sometimes I will not wonder at that. Okay, so that's why I put it down here, because sometimes the weight of the whole thing that you carry is huge, and maybe I don't understand, or maybe I haven't completely looked at and absorbed existential truth and the things that are. I get that I flitter away from that. So I've still got some work to do on Binner's shadow. Okay, so Gahagriel's Gahadriel, probably Chopmuth's shadow. Now, this is the lie of divine power, and this is false prophets. I see this, and I am very careful, because it's spiritual arrogance. You know, gurus, and I hope I've never been guilty too much of this, but I know something you don't know. Na, 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 na. And it is, oh dear, illusionary wisdom, false prophets, spiritual arrogance. And you have to separate the genuine from the ego-driven delusion. I have to watch this step, okay? I look around for a wise teacher on a regular basis. I look for a wise teacher, and I need to stay and go within. However, I've got to make sure that I'm not being arrogant. I can connect up to inner wisdom from both the Qlippoth and the Tree of Life, but it's not something I take lightly. I try not to take lightly. If I can help at all with that, I try and be humble, but that's a form of arrogance too, humility, because there's underlying arrogance. So a little bit of confidence is fine. A little, when confidence flicks over into arrogance, is not fine. I have to watch that path, because I know it can drag me down, and I know, yeah, it's not a good path. I have no need for the ambition of being a guru or a false prophet. I don't need people to follow me. I wouldn't mind sort of a few people sort of listening to me every now and again, but yeah, that's fine, because I can help, and I would like to help. I would like to be of service, which is again a little bit of the arrogant side. You find nurses and doctors, nurses particularly, can be a little bit arrogant in their knowledge, and it's a fine line. Yeah, to be of service is fine. Okay, so we go into Thormiel's, Keith's shadow. Now, Keith's shadow is, I tried to persuade, I put it down as the duality of God. Now, you know me, I don't believe in God. I believe in higher self. So it represents the ultimate division, if you like. So this one is, I've also put down the final paradox. Okay, so again, Godhood versus the abyss. As above, so below. This is all duality stuff. And paradox starts to mess with your mind. My mind doesn't like paradox. Find something that is truth. I went looking for this years ago. And you know what? I have a problem remembering them. I have to write them down, because my mind just goes, not remembering that. Get lost. And it's looking at non-duality. There are some great books out there. Jed. I'll dig them up if I can find them. But it's transcending the illusion of separation. Now, there's the illusion of separation. So it means that separation is real. Again, this is one that I think takes lifetimes to work out. I get the general gist, but this one, nope. I'm still working on that one. Okay, so that was a lot to swallow. How do you actually engage with it? All right, so yeah, shadow work, self-reflection, yada, yada, yada. Keep a journal. Write it down is not a bad idea. Destructive patterns. Looking at your own life, putting the mirror up and going, okay, where is my destructive patterns? Suppressed desires. How do I deal with discomfort? Where do I resist change? These are questions, right? And you have to fire them inside. And you keep firing them over and over again until you get some decent answers. What part of myself do I fear to acknowledge? Now you see, that's crucial. Because what do I fear about myself? Because, you know, I've come up with my deepest fear is I'm not enough. But you know what? It's not actually I'm not enough. My deepest fear is I'm too much. I've got to roll it back. It's the duality is again, but my deepest fear is I am too much. I overpower. I go too far. So it's all done by a ritual descent into the Qlippoth, right? So create a ritual space with symbols of descent. Black candles, mirrors, and bones. Visualize yourself entering a dark, winding staircase leading down to the depths. Now, I'm not going to do a meditation for this. This is not for me to do. This is for you to do if you think it's appropriate. To guide you down to the Qlippoth is something you need to do on your own. And you have to confront what appears, whether you have visions or emotions or physical sensations. You could get sick for a bit. You could, throw up, feel nauseous. All of this, yes, went through that. Okay, so there's also the dream work and the astral exploration. So the Qlippoth often manifests in dreams and nightmares. Can you face your nightmares? So keep writing them down, looking through it, telling somebody, talking through things. If you ever need to get in touch, there's ways. I'm on Facebook. I will talk to anybody who is going through this stuff and help them through it. So set an intention before sleep to visit a specific sphere for insight. So that's something I have done with the duality of God. So the non-duality, I can't work it out with my mind. My mind doesn't like it. And I've worked on it for years and years and years, and I still can't work it out. And the other one would be the black veil, the weight of existential truth. So I've tried to go through those in dreams, and I'm working through it. Yeah, it's not so bad. Lucid dreaming is good if you can do it. And what else? I've got meditation with Qlippoth sigils. Sigils, correspondence, gazing upon them can unlock subconscious memories. People have gone down this path before, used their knowledge, right? So in other words, it's a path well trodden. So you can find books on this subject and read them and then adapt it to your way of thinking. Balancing with the seraph. So the Qlippoth is destabling. You can counter it with the Sephirah. The Kabbalah. I've tried to be fancy with the words, but it's the tree of life. You balance the tree of life with the tree of death, and you vice versa. So you bring in both. It balances with the true self-awareness, things like that. Okay, so it's not just a realm of darkness. It's a path to wholeness, okay? So it's got a bad rep. By confronting our inner demons, we gain true freedom, blah-da-da-da-da. But it's not everybody. It's not for everybody. You need to really, really want to change. When the fear of standing still is greater than the fear of moving forward, this helps you move forward, right? It moves you forward faster than perhaps you're comfortable with, and it requires deep introspection and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. You don't know what you're going to come out at the end. You're going to be powerful, but in what way? And it has to be a journey with respect and awareness. I respect the Qlippoth, okay? I respect the archetypes that you find there. And it is one of the most powerful tools for transformation. Okay, so if you've done it before, if you've worked with the Qlippoth, please share your experiences with me. Reach out on, I think Spotify does comments. I would be happy to help out in any way, shape, or form. And I don't charge. I don't work for money anyway. If you found this episode valuable, please like and subscribe and all of that. But whether you're just starting out or you've done it major times before, please get in touch, because we can work through this together if you want. Stay brave, stay curious, and most of all, embrace the unknown.